What's up, beautiful people? This is your girl, Chris Blue Nola Tarot, coming through with a quick reading. I guess you would say a mini reading on the situation that just took place today between Matt Barnes and Anansa's ex-husband. His name is David Patterson Jr. To make a long story short, they have a history of tangling up. This has been going on for quite a while now. And it seems like it's a continued behavior between the two of them, right? Two people asserting themselves with each other. So today, TMZ put out a video where Matt Barnes was actually spitting on this man. Now, I'm like, oh my God, with COVID and everything going on. Oh my God, this is disgusting. So I got this off of from TMZ by way of Neighborhood Talk. They said, neighbors, we all know Matt never ducking a fade. He's never ducking a fade. Matt Barnes is not the one to play with. Apparently, his patience was tested again, this time by his fiance's ex-husband. But I can recall Matt's patience being tested by his now ex-wife's husband, Derek Fisher, too, right? So Matt seems to have a history of violence, right? That seems to be the running narrative with him. I remember when he was married to Gloria, and I believe they were either separated or divorcing, or at this point divorced. He confronted her now husband, Derek Fisher, right? He even talked about it, I think, on Vlad TV, where he drove with a flat tire all the way there to confront and beat this man up. And even when you look at the video on TMZ, or by way of TMZ, Matt seems to be the one that continues to push forward. Though Matt is saying that this man is harassing them. And I have a pretty sneaky suspicion it's the both of them, right? So we're going to just kind of read through this. So, according to TMZ, Matt got into it with his fiance's ex-husband, former NFL player David Patterson Jr. at the Cowboys and versus 49ers game this past Sunday. Video obtained by TMZ shows Matt spitting on him instead of putting his paws on him. No, they were tussling. They were touching each other. They were going back and forth, right? Matt was pushing forward. David was pushing forward. They were actually touching each other. It wasn't just him spitting on him to avoid putting his hands on him. You look at the actual video, they were literally tussling, and then some people came and tried to break them up. 2 days after the altercation, Matt filed a temporary restraining order. It's amazing how you can push and shove and spit, and then you file a restraining order. Now, keep in mind, Anansa does have a restraining order on her ex-husband as well. And this is in reference into custodial issues, right? So they have something going on with who has the right to do what when it comes to the children. This is what it seems to be all about, all right? So anyway, 2 days after the altercation, Matt filed a temporary restraining order against David. Matt indicated that David started the altercation at the NFL game. He claims that David followed him, yelling and cussing him out and threatening him, which brought attention to them as people were trying to figure out what was happening. Matt claims that David shoved him first. I did not want the altercation to be physically escalated further, and out of frustration with seeing him seeking me out and his unrelenting repeated harassment, I spit in his direction. No, you spit literally directly at him. Matt needs to be careful because Matt has a lot to lose. David does too, but Matt is on TV, right? He has a few endorsement deals, I believe. You may want to watch that and not try to cover up your actions with a restraining order, right? I think you need to be careful about that. But let's go ahead and jump into it. Spirit, give me the energy between David Patterson Jr. and Matt Barnes. Who is the aggressor in this energy? Who is the one who's being most aggressive? Give me the energy with who started the initial aggression in this situation. Give me the energy around Matt Barnes. We'll start with old Matt first. Ooh, cards are falling, but I'm going to pick them up. I told you they slip and slide. Give me the energy around David Patterson Jr. David Patterson Jr. Was he the aggressor initially? You know what's interesting? They both have similar energy, guys. It's almost like two people. It's like two people coming together with similar energy, being very combustible, right? Notice that Matt has the Seven of Wands, which is he's in defense. The Seven of Wands is a person who's taken a defense position, right? Who is trying to deal with a person from a conflict's point of view. And then David has also too a person who has created some difficulty and tension. So if I had to say who initiated the initial tension, it would be David, right? In fairness, it would be David. The way this is looking, and it could be a situation, and I'm just going to say this, it could be a situation where David didn't like certain things that he was hearing, and he didn't like being almost like, because there's a that Wheel of Fortune can represent, I don't always know what's going on with my children in the situation, right? So because Matt is there, he's a blocker right now. He's blocking me from having the sort of access and conversations that I would normally have, right? That's what that represents. David comes up as the person who's the aggressor in the initial beginning. That Five of Swords is somebody who comes in swinging the sword, right? Right? He's the person that used to be in the head of the family, in charge of the family. But now that that separation has happened, there's some tension and difficulty, right? The problem with David is that he's tackling somebody that he's the opponent, dude. You gotta watch your opponent, because the deal is, this is not some typical dude that's just gonna let you come in and think you're gonna say and do and keep acting like Anansa is still your wife or you can handle her any kind of way. This is somebody who's gonna step to you in defense of. So it does show, if I had to be honest, David Patterson Jr. is the initial person who started the tension. Five of Swords, Queen of Swords, right? And Chariot. Even when you look at those two together, that talks about thinking he can deal with Anansa, handle Anansa, say what he wants. And sometimes men have a tendency to do that, especially when they used to be married to you and you're still single and not technically married. They think they can kind of come in and kind of handle you any kind of way, right? And again, this is in reference to him not having control. Chariot is all about having control, right? Of a situation, discipline over a situation, moving a situation forward. He's no longer in control. Even with Anansa, there's an issue with him being able to control the situation. And so here Matt has the card of defense, right? I'm in defense of. I'm willing to swing that sword on you. I'm willing to go there with you. I'm willing to tie up and tangle up with you. But Matt does have in his defense, I'm in defense of the situation. Now, Matt also has with this man competition. So there is some competition energy there between them as it relates to Anansa. There is David's side of it too, trying to continue to dominate and say, you got to be careful when people get in other relationships. You cannot still treat the person like you're still dealing with them to that degree, or you think you could talk to them any kind of way, especially when they get a man in their life. It's only going to go so far. And especially with a man who has a temper, right? Ten of Swords is here, and that Ten of Swords is, it can get worse before it can get better between the two of them. I really pray and hope that these two men can come together and put their differences aside, because when I say that between these cards, and I mean, this is a very combustible situation, it can really get out of hand and things can escalate even further, right? The restraining orders are necessary and needed. They need a restraining order on each other. They need some type of mediation to navigate this situation. But again, David starts off as the initial a person, and then Matt is here. Remember, 1-900 I'll deliver, right? Play with me if you want to. And that's what it's about. But this all has to do with what's going on with the kids and how he deals with Anansa. And of course, he's not having it over here. And I can kind of understand to some degree what David is feeling here, because it's like, by Matt being in the picture, then I'm not having, sometimes the same access that I used to have. But you have to be able to also step back when it comes to, okay, they got somebody here, let's all come together and work together. And you can't talk to her any kind of way, or handle her any kind of way, or treat her any kind of way. And she's not having it, and he's definitely not having it. And this is where it's starting right here. So I do have to say, if I had to say who was the aggressor, or who made tension first, or who was causing some issues, it's falling into this guy David first. All right. Very similar personalities, though. I mean, I must say it. Very similar personalities. All right. Was David, harassing? Has David been harassing Matt, the last. Matt is talking about this constant harassment. Nine of Cups, Three of Wands. I think they're both doing it, guys. I think they're both tangling up with each other at different points and different times. This is what it talks about. Three people tangling up, right? Three of Wands is in that energy. That talks about I'm frustrated. There's trouble ahead, right? There's obstacle energy here. This has been going on for quite a while, and it's obviously it's getting worse. They have energy continuing to get worse. There's again. Everybody has to learn how to play their position. You would think people would come together for the sake of their kids. Now, the good news is I do see this is 9 plus that's 10, 11. That's in the next 11, 1 to 11, give or take, right? I do see where in a year from now they could possibly, and I'm going to say possibly, be in a better place and space. But is it going to take for you to be arrested? Is it going to take for you to go to somebody to get hurt, for everybody to simmer down and do the right thing and be about the right thing? You have kids, right? Let me ask this question though. What does David think is happening with his kids? Because he shows that Matt is interfering in that in that Wheel of Fortune energy, right? What does he believe is happening with his kids? I remember one time he was saying that he didn't treat his kids well. Or is Matt mistreating his kids? Give me the energy around the children. Is he mistreating the kids? And I must say, like, there is some energy that would suggest the kids have said certain things about Matt's personality or Matt's behavior or how they feel. You gotta watch. I mean, like that's really the truth. The Ten of Pentacles refers to children. Remember that, right? And this is the children who could potentially feel sometimes that the environment changes with Matt being a part of the equation. I've seen situations where women can date men and the house will feel a certain way, but once the person enters, there's a shift, right? They have felt that. That's no lie here, right? That Ten of Pentacles could represent, I feel like my foundation, I feel like my environment feels intense or feels tense, right? This is what it represents. So, of course, for David, in fairness to him now, this talks about what's happening with my kids. How are my kids being treated? Are my kids being treated what? Fairly, right? And in his mind, he may be feeling like, are they being treated with respect? Are these kids? Now, I don't feel the kids are being just mistreated. They may not have the closest relationship. And I do feel like Anansa showed that video to kind of dispel that. But it's in this Ten of Pentacles where, Matt's personality may not always, they may not be conducive to what the kids feel. Not that he's mistreating them. They're not super duper close. Not that they haven't gotten close over time, and not that they can't continue to get close over time, because I see where the energy is pretty solid. There was something or is something that the kids were saying about how they felt in that environment. Okay, and it's not mistreatment. It's just like, okay, his personality is different. He could be a little bit, rough around the edges or whatever the case may be, right? This is what he's talking about. But the main thing is for David is that, it's almost like you can't try to dominate something in somebody else's house. As long as Matt is not beating them and, doing anything malicious towards them, just because he may not be the Mr. Mom, that doesn't justify you, They had some story about the kids were saying something about that Anansa, and I wanted to say that Anansa sometimes gives more attention to Matt, and that could be true too, because this is her and Matt and the lovers energy, and then this is the kids feeling like almost feeling like now I don't want to say the word rejected, but they may not feel that she is as grounded, that her attention may be more in this direction, right? That's what that represents. So they could be saying, they could have said some stuff like that. Are they in a better place with Matt now? The kids, give me the energy around David and not David, Matt Barnes and Anansa's kids. Oh, blank card. I feel like it's improved, but I definitely feel there's some truth to what they were saying, all right? About, maybe, well, listen, Matt has a combustible personality. I can believe he's rough around the edges. I can believe, he can easily, he's fighting these children's dad. Think about this for a second. He's fighting these children's dad. Even if you try to get close to them, at some point as they get older, they're going to be side-eyeing you. You're not thinking about being the adult in the situation. Even if David is feeling a certain way about you being there and he may be feeling some jealousy or maybe some insecurity, that's his children. They're at an age and a point, especially that your oldest girl and that oldest boy, where they can develop feelings around what that feels like to them as far as their parents are concerned. You putting your paws and y'all getting into it with each other, and that's going to set them apart from you. And Anansa needs to be careful with that because children will take sides, right? That's really odd that Matt is putting the paws on her, her children's father instead of letting the law handle it. And again, Matt and Anansa look like they're going to get married, guys. So it's coming. They look like they could get married. They do have the Eight of Cups. I always wonder if Anansa is fearful of him sometimes because she almost makes me feel like she can have battered energy. And that's a little bit of it here. I'm not accusing anybody of anything, but I would be curious down the road once they really do, like, I could see them getting married, but once she does walk away from this relationship, and it may take us some time, I would love to be a bird on the, a fly on the wall to hear what she's really been going through with Matt. Because her ex-husband has an aggressive spirit, and Matt has one too. And I can only imagine how he kind of deals and handles her, right? That's what it talks about. We don't know what's really going on with this relationship, right? That's what that talks about. Anywho, this is Chris. I just wanted to kind of get a feel for, like, the energy. I think Matt and this man, things can get worse before it can get better. I think they need to be really careful because somebody can go get in jail. Somebody could really get hurt. I think that David needs to really play his position in all of this and make sure he just goes through the law if there's a problem. And Matt needs to do the same thing. You shouldn't be putting paws on these children's father because at the end of the day, they're old enough to pick sides. And they will take sides. That is still their father. And Matt, how will this affect his career if he keeps getting into physical situations? He has the Page of Cups, the Two of Pentacles, the Judgment card. He's going to justify this situation, but eventually, how many times can you justify it? This time you may be able to justify, do your restraining order to protect yourself because you don't want the judgment of the people you work for and maybe the social media. But eventually, how long is that going to last? If you keep getting into another incident, and you will, right? You will get into another incident. Guess what? That tide will turn. That Queen of Swords is in your energy. And that Queen of Swords could represent, guess what? You're going to be met with grief. And now tempers will flare, right? You had an issue with, Gloria and aggression. An issue with, who is this? Derek Fisher and aggression. An issue with Anansa when y'all broke up and aggression. And now you're doing it with a husband. At some point, who's the common denominator here? And you could keep doing it if you want and think you could cover up by making excuses. I do give credit that the man created some tension. But, you have your energy. You're going to lose. You're going to lose some things. And you're going to regret some decisions that you made because it's going to come back to bite you in the butt. And while you over there talking about Ime Udoka and some white woman, you need to be worrying about your black woman and staying out of fights and trying to make things peaceful so that you guys can really have a positive life. Even the white woman that David was dealing with said that you had a problem. So it's Matt and Gloria, Matt and Derek Fisher, Matt and Anansa when y'all broke up, Matt and David Patterson Jr., Matt and David Patterson Jr.'s fiance. Like, the common denominator in all this is good old Matt. So Matt needs to be careful because if he has one more incident, the tides will turn on him and he'll see a downfall, right? He'll have a downfall moment, a tower moment. This is Chris with Nola Tarot coming through with a reading on Matt Barnes. Thank you so much for watching. And Anansa and her ex-husband, thank you for watching. I wish these people really take the high road and think of their kids. It's extremely disturbing, and especially with COVID and everything, this man could claim, that you put his life in jeopardy by spitting on him, right? I mean, it's pretty serious. And this man, he needs to watch. You have kids, you get hurt in a funny style, you put yourself in jeopardy, you go to jail. Let the law deal with it. And he also has similar energy to Matt. This is why he's got a restraining order through Anansa, because he thinks he can handle her any kind of way. But they have very similar personalities. It's almost like a person who is dealing with different men, but with the same energy, repeating the behavior. All right, this is Chris. Like, comment, subscribe, share this video if you care, and I will talk to you later. Peace and blessings. Namaste.